I do not own Star Trek, or any of the related characters. Star Trek is a mark owned by Paramount. This story is a work of fanfiction and is for entertainment only. I am not making profit from this story. This is a tribute. All rights of Star Trek belong to Paramount. This fanfiction takes place between the second and third movies of the Kelvinverse.
Star Trek Reloaded. Chapter 4 bis. Madmen. Jim was really enjoying it. He raised and lowered his right foot on the accelerator continuously, just for the pleasure of hearing the 8-cylinder Cosworth roar violently. The air was unbreathable, filled with smoke and fuel, an immense pleasure for the young man from Iowa.
You're crazy.
Dr. McCoy had to shout to be heard.
Get out of this trap right away and let's leave quickly, before anyone recognizes us.
Bones, try to relax a little and get it over with. My mother is much less apprehensive than you.
I have no doubts, since he raised you like a delinquent. Where the hell did you take me? Get out of this car.
McCoy continually looked around. There were hundreds of people in the garage. Thousands more were in the stands waiting for the race to start. Astounded, he observed unthinkable behavior. There were people smoking, perhaps not even just tobacco. Bottles of beer in everyone's hands and scantily clad women walking around smiling among the mechanics and pilots.
This is heaven, Leonard. Simply heaven.
The doctor was unable to reply to Jim who, releasing the clutch, skidded off towards his formation lap.
Heaven a damn, crazy fool. Oh, I already know, he will get hurt, very bad. Maybe he will even die and then they will come looking for me, they will blame me all the time, they will put me in prison and they will throw the key. And my former wife will have other reasons to eat what little I have left, and...
Are you talking to yourself, handsome brunette?
The girl was blonde, tall and slender, her eyes hidden by huge sunglasses. Very long tapered legs emerged from skimpy shorts that left little to the imagination. For the rest, she only wore a light, semi-transparent white shirt that the incredible heat stuck to her body, enhancing her curves.
But, hello.
McCoy showed off an almost stupid smile.
No, I'm not talking to myself. I was thinking about, you know, right? The engine, the race, those things.
Are you a mechanic? I thought you were the manager of the team. You look like one.
Saying this, she approached him and began to casually caress his shoulder.
The man. Well, obviously, I'm the manager. Nothing gets done unless I decide, in this, your, team.
McCoy had completely forgotten everything. The heat, the crowd, the noise, the smells. He looked at the blonde and could only wonder from what paradise she had fallen. Paradise. What, Jim? He turned to look at the circuit but, apparently, the cars had not yet positioned themselves and there was still time to start.
Do you want a shot?
The girl handed him a handmade cigarette.
Don't overdo it though, it's very strong stuff.
Bones was completely gone. Without realizing it, he nonchalantly snatched the cigarette from his new friend and took a very strong drag.
You'll understand, this stuff doesn't do anything to me.
In a split second he found himself breathless, immersed in a cloud of acrid smoke. He started coughing madly, doubled over, with severe worsening nausea. The girl looked at him perplexed and she was almost about to leave when, having quickly regained a semblance of normality, the young doctor gave her a murderous, winking look.
Hey, sorry, it got in my way.
Saying this, he pretended to give that horrible thing another 2 simulate shots and, almost crying, managed not to cough anymore.
Bah, not bad. Light though. ...
He gave her back the cigarette and, without realizing it, put his arm around her shoulder.
You're a real stunner. What did you say your name was?
I didn't say it.
She laughed, showing perfect teeth.
I'm Michaela, my pleasure.
Hi Michaela, I'm Dr. Watson, manager of this team, the team, Enterprise.
How nice, a doctor. But you're a real doctor, right?
She continued to laugh.
Oh yes, very true, you don't know how much.
I liked playing doctor as a child.
She looked at him mischievously.
Have you ever played?
McCoy began to realize that everything around him had taken on a different light. He felt like he was floating and perceived everything as extremely pleasant. In an instant the crowd had become a simple harmless outline, the noises a pleasant background and then she.
Do you want me to show the team van? It is beautiful and comfortable, totally soundproof and there is air conditioning. All strictly from the 70s of the 20th century, like everything else.
And the race?
She pretended to be surprised.
Your driver is about to start. Are you leaving him alone?
For a moment he remembered the image of Jim in that thing, that car. What had he called it? Ah, yes, Lotus 72D, whatever he meant.
Jim doesn't need me. On the track he just needs opponents to beat.
Smiling, he took her arm and headed toward the antique, fresh from the factory-looking camper just behind their garage.
You've done nothing but babble about paradise, Jim. Among this unbreathable stench of smoke and petrol. Let's see if I can find a little piece of it too.
He thought. On the track, Kirk was catching up with him on the starting line. He had qualified 6th on that crazy weekend and he had much higher expectations for the race. Looking around, he was once again fascinated by the extreme realism of the environment. The people, the advertisements, the cars. Everything was perfectly identical to what one would have seen in Kyalami, South Africa, in 1972. Next to him he had a March 721X, in front of him a McLaren M19C and a Ferrari 312B2. All roaring and smoking. All identical to the originals from 250-odd years earlier. The magic was perfect, until you looked at the sky. Above, the Class G sun of the Kruaxi system could have been an excellent substitute for the Earth's star, but, looking to its right, the red dwarf that made up the binary system revealed the trick. Kruaxi was a strange anomaly. Only 15 light-years away from Earth, it could be said to be practically in the backyard. Many years earlier the Federation had sensed the need for a relief valve. In an increasingly perfect welfare system, with no more poverty, once full social justice had finally been achieved, unexpected problems still remained. While living in the New Eden was fine for the majority of people, there was always a small number of diehards, intolerant of the rigid prohibitions and the necessary, but annoying, intrusiveness of the Federation in the field of personal freedoms. Most set off towards new planets to colonize, in an exciting but dangerous search for a world of their own. Political extremists, orthodox and intolerant religious people, free spirits. Many had chosen the path of the stars, sometimes finding, also, unfortunately, what they were looking for, other times failing miserably. Then there remained the others, those who some leaders had defined as the Sunday deviants. They were nothing more than very normal people, perfectly fit into the system but eager, once in a while, to abandon that perfect and increasingly aseptic environment, in search of transgressions, generally very banal and without serious consequences, usually, in a port franc close enough to get there and back in a short time. Kruaxi IV had turned out to be the ideal place. A group of unscrupulous entrepreneurs, secretly assisted by the leaders of the Federation, had colonized the planet, similar to Earth but completely free from intelligent indigenous species, transforming it into a huge playground. Kruaxi's membership in the Federation was undoubted, but the laws in force there were much more watered down. On Kruaxi you could practice any type of extreme sport, you could frequent questionable environments dedicated to gambling or consensual sexual commerce, you could use alcohol, tobacco and some substances without too many complications. Once on the planet, the tourists signed a release that put them in a state of suspension with respect to many of the rights and duties they had with the Federation. Once their stay, always necessarily short, was over, they could return home without anyone challenging their digression, as long as they rejoined the ranks without taking any of their temporary madness with them. Everything's that happens in Kruaxi, stay in Kruaxi. Furthermore, as widely predicted by sociologists, generation after generation the influx of Earthlings to Kruaxi was constantly decreasing. In the New Eden we were happy and that relief valve was less and less necessary. For most it was enough to know that it was there, that it was a possibility, and that was enough. In any case, one thing was certain. The laws prevented access to the planet to anyone carrying out certain tasks considered fundamental for the existence of the Federation itself, starting from members of the Star Fleet. Kirk had convinced McCoy to go with him on vacation for a few days and, through deception, had brought him to Kruaxi under an assumed name. Now he was there, ready to speed at 180 miles/h with a dangerous relic of a distant past, ready to replicate a car race of times where, every year, at least 2 Formula One drivers lost their lives in the competition. He felt excited and alive like never before. When the race director waved the South African flag, Signaling the start of the race, he pushed on the accelerator with all the strength he had.